What is up? It's Jan back at it again with another nerdy bookish video. And today we're doing my August wrap-up. Yes, I'm very aware it's September 23rd. We are officially into fall. And here I am doing my August wrap-up. We're not going to talk about it, okay? August 15th or September 15th I was planning on filming this, but I'm like very behind on all my videos. I went to Georgia like the first week of September. I didn't do anything YouTube related when I was there because I forgot my cords and stuff that I needed, and I'm sorry, okay? We're here now. We have 14 books to talk about, so we're gonna get started, okay? Okay, sounds good. Starting with In 5 Years by Rebecca Searle. I gave this one 4 stars. I did not cry. I wanted to cry so badly. That's the only reason I bought this book. But also, the cover is beautiful. Like the shiny foiling, the minimalistic aesthetic. I love it. I love it. So this is... shit, I don't even know. I read these so long ago, so bear with me. This is about a girl who is very type A, so that's what got me, because I'm like hashtag relatable, you know what I mean? So she has like her 5-year plan and everything, like who she's gonna marry, what she's gonna do as a job. I used to be that way, not so much anymore, but still relatable. Her name's Danny, by the way. And then she like wakes up one day, she like time travels, I guess. Not really, but like she just wakes up 5 years in the future, and then she's like, what the fuck? So she has this like whole new life in 5 years, but it was just one day, and then she goes back to reality basically. Wait, I'm getting this one and One Day in December mixed up. I think she goes back to regular, yeah, she goes back to regular life. So she's like, oh my god, in 5 years this is gonna happen, and oh my god, this guy is off limits because of one reason that I'm not gonna say because it's a spoiler. It's about friendship. Like her and her best friend have such a nice, wholesome, pure friendship. Things happen, there's grief, there's loss, there's heartbreak, there's love. It's set in New York, and I love any story that's set in New York for some reason. I don't know, same with shows and movies. And I'm not the only one either. Like I've seen a lot of people say the same thing. I would still recommend it, even though it wasn't that much of a tearjerker for me. Maybe my emotions just weren't skyrocketing that day. I don't know, but there were some sad parts, and it did pull at my heartstrings, and it's a nice quick read, and she's a good writer. So that's that. I'm sorry, it's been a day, okay? Second book I read is Girl Stop Apologizing by Rachel Hollis. I want to say is her last name. It's the sequel to Girl Wash Your Face. Not sequel, but the companion book. I gave that one 5 stars. I listened to it through Libby on audio just while I was driving. I was getting some, you know, female empowerment, girl boss vibes, like love that. It was really good. I got a lot out of it. I wish I had it physically so I could like highlight stuff and take note of stuff. Pulled a lot of good quotes from it that stuck with me, like don't compare your beginnings to someone else's middles. I honestly like that one more than Girl Wash Your Face, but both are really good. She's just so inspiring. Like the fact that she didn't even like go to school for business or marketing or anything, and I think she even dropped out, and I don't even think she went to college. I think she dropped out in high school. Maybe not. I don't know, but she like barely went to college, if at all, and now she has like freaking multiple businesses that are like blown up, and I just goals, you know, goals. But also not really, because I don't want to start my own business, but never mind, we're moving on. The next book I read in August was The Testaments by Margaret Atwood. It's the sequel to The Handmaid's Tale, if you didn't know. I gave this one 4 stars. It went by pretty quickly for how big it is. If you don't know what The Handmaid's Tale is about, it's very fucked up, to say the least. I don't really want to go into it, but there's every trigger warning in the books. I keep saying this. The show's really good. It has every trigger warning there too, but Google it. Goodreads it. Figure it out yourselves, because I don't want to go into it. There's a lot of rape involved. There's a whole totalitarianism society called Gilead, and Canada's their like escape route. There's these people called the handmaids who are basically sex slaves because fertile women are meant to reproduce because it's like God's calling. It's this whole thing, okay? The Testaments follows 3 different perspectives. They're like side characters in The Handmaid's Tale. Basically like where are they now, how they got to where they are, and kids from The Handmaid's Tale are like grown up now. God, I hate how thin my walls are. Anyways, as fucked up as it is, it gives you an interesting perspective. Margaret Atwood's writing is just phenomenal in all ways, on all levels, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't what I was expecting. I thought we would get the perspective of the main handmaid in The Handmaid's Tale, but we didn't. If the writing weren't so good, it would be 3 stars for me, but just because it's Margaret Atwood, I gave it 4 stars. I don't know how to go into it without like spoiling anything or going into the story more in depth, but it's a sequel, so what are you gonna do? The next book I read in August was Hunger by Roxane Gay, and this is a memoir about Roxane Gay's journey, life as a woman of color who is also diagnosed with obesity, and she just talks about all her hardships. It's not like a success story. She has an introduction and saying like, this is not like a before and after thing. This is just what I went through and why I am the way I am, what I'm doing to try to cope with everything, what triggers me from my childhood, stuff like that. And it was very insightful and honestly heartbreaking seeing how someone has to adapt to certain ways because a lot of the world isn't built for that. Like chairs, like she had to, you know, in college, those desks that were attached to the chairs, she couldn't fit into those, or like she would squeeze herself in them and then she couldn't breathe. It's just like stuff like that that's heartbreaking that people don't think about. She was just so raw and honest about her life and just everything. It's so good. Roxane Gay is amazing. She apparently taught at Purdue for a little bit before I went there, and that's just crazy to me. That's amazing. I love her. She wrote Bad Feminist, if you know what that is, but I want to read anything she writes. The next book I read is on a completely different realm, but I mentioned it earlier. One Day in December by Josie Silver. I read this but like in the beginning of Scallywagathon. I'll link my vlog above, below, whatever. Gave that one 5 stars. Surprisingly, I thought this was going to be a light and fluffy read, just super quick romance that I got through an ebook on Libby, or through Libby as an ebook. I was tearing up. It was such a surprise. 5 stars for me. So it's about this girl who sees this guy at a bus stop, and the book is broken into like different years, and she goes through her like New Year's resolutions and everything. It's like a span of 10 years. She's so hung up on this guy that she's seen once. She fell in love at first sight, and she's just so hung up on him for like, I think it was like the first 4 years of this book. She was like, still talking to her best friend about it. She's like, oh my god, this mystery guy, blah blah blah. And then eventually they crossed paths. There was a lot of heartbreak and a couple twists, family stuff, friendship stuff, love stuff. It was just really good. Can you tell I haven't had a full meal today yet, or a full cup of coffee? My apologies. One Day in December is Reese Witherspoon's book club pick, or one of her book club picks, and those never disappoint, so I didn't know why I was so surprised that it was so good. But yes, read it. It's a great like winter read, so maybe save it. I read it in the freaking middle of August, so there's that. The next book I read is The Great Gatsby graphic novel. I just randomly picked this up. I ended up reading it during the Scallywagathon as well, because in the beginning of 2020, you know, roaring 20s, whatever, I wanted to reread The Great Gatsby because I read it in high school, and I was like, you know, I feel like I'd enjoy this book if I actually read it for fun instead of having to annotate it and whatever else. Instead of reading it, the regular novel, the graphic novel recently came out, so I was like, okay, this is a good start. So read it, gave it 3 stars. I don't know, I still wasn't really into the story. I didn't really care for it. It was a great art style though. It was beautiful, I will say that, and obviously it went really quickly. I read it in like an hour and a half or 2. I would pick it up if you love The Great Gatsby for sure, if you just want a quick read. Next book I read for the Scallywagathon and in August, The Wicker King by Kay Ancrum. So this is that book that I don't know why it blew up recently, but everyone seemed to be picking it up. It has all this mixed media, and then it goes from light to dark, because it's supposed to symbolize one of the characters' mental health worsening throughout the book, because one of them has hallucinations. Honestly, I don't know what the heck went on in this book, but basically there are 2 boys and one of them has all these hallucinations about this made-up world. It reminded me of Riverdale and how they played that game that like came to life, you know, and like all these demons and stuff were attacking them. I don't know. What was it called? Wasn't the Raven King? That's a book. I don't know. If you know, you know. If you've seen Riverdale, you know what I mean. But it's like the same idea. They like play this game and then he has hallucinations. These 2 boys are like super codependent, and it's like unhealthy the way they depend on each other, how they can't go anywhere without each other. It's just not what I expected, but I don't know. I gave this one 3 stars. Like the concept of the light to dark and like the mixed media and the short like little way it was laid out was really good, but it was a very forgettable story for me. So Jack is the one that has hallucinations and August is like a pyromaniac, and they just try to fulfill this prophecy, and I don't know, I was not into it at all. I just wanted to get through it honestly because it was a quick read, and the cover is beautiful, kind of. He's kind of creepy, but you know, whatever. The next book I read was an audiobook, and it was Reese Witherspoon's Whiskey in a Teacup. It was just a quick 3-hour book that I was like, okay, while I'm getting ready I'll listen to it. It's just her talking about her southern lifestyle and growing up in like the South, like with the southern hospitality and how people, you know, embroider and like the food that they eat, how her family members acted as she was growing up. It was was interesting, and I stan Reese Witherspoon. Like, she has accomplished so much. I love her book club. I mean, her movies are good. Little Fires Everywhere, she was good. Big Little Lies. So yeah, it was a cute, quick little read. I gave it 3 stars, and that's pretty much it. The next book I read for the Scallywagathon as well, and it's A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. I think that's how you say his last name. I recently heard Carolyn Marie Reeds say Bachman, so Bachman. And this is about this old man who's like super grumpy and hates the world, or like comes off that way. Then you find out why he's that way, and then you see like how big his heart really is. And there are some like suicidal trigger warnings on this book, but if you can get past that, I would recommend reading this because it was so heartwarming, and like the humor, it's compared to Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, which is one of my favorite books this year. I did like that one a little bit better, but the ending of this was just so much for my heartstrings. It alternates between past tense and present. It's just so sweet the way he talks about his wife, and oh my god, I just love it. I want to see the movie, but I couldn't find it online, so I'm excited to read more by Frederick Bachman. I just got Anxious People from Book of the Month, so I'm excited for that, and I heard all his books are good. So it was funny because Xavier, my boyfriend, was like, he looks like Robert De Niro. I was like, how? I mean, yeah, but I just thought it was funny. Next book I read, also for Scallywagathon / Summerween, because I finished it the first day of Summerween, was Cersei by Madeline Miller. I gave this one 3 stars because of the writing. It would have been 2 stars otherwise. It was such a disappointment for me. I don't know why. As much as I like the concept of mythology, it's like hard for me to wrap my head around. I took a class or 2 on mythology in college, 2 classes in college, and it was just so out there for me. I struggled. That's all I'm gonna say in that class. And I struggled reading this book. I was expecting more of a women's fiction, I guess, but like in Greek goddess form. I can't explain it, but the writing was really good. Madeline Miller, she has a way with words. I will still read A Song of Achilles because I heard it's better than Cersei and it's sadder than Cersei, so maybe it'll make me cry. And I have yet to read a book that like has made me sob this year, so we'll see. But yeah, this is the most disappointing of the year. This was my first book of the month book, and I got it in January, and all my friends who've read it kept pushing me to read it, and then I finally got to it and I was like, oh, I didn't like it that much. But it was book of the year 2018, so I'm sure it's just a me thing. Sounds like a me problem, am I right? Next book I read was for the Summerween readathon. It's The Shadows by Alex North. I gave this one 4 stars. It was a nice quick read, and it made my jaw drop a couple times. I think I mentioned in my vlog that after every chapter I had to like process what was going on and take a little breather. I mean, it wasn't as scary as I thought it would be, but I'm kind of glad it wasn't. The chapters are really short, so it went by really quickly. About this murder case that happened 20 years ago, and then there's like these copycat murders, and there's like these red handprints everywhere, and you get the perspective of this one guy who used to live in this town and hasn't gotten back to his hometown in like 30 years or something. 25 years? 20 years? I don't know. And then you get the perspective of one of the case workers, investigators, detective people. It was intriguing. It kept my attention throughout the whole book. I can't wait to read The Whisper Man. It does mention the Whisper Man once in here, but I think I'd get a lot more creeped out with that one because like there's a man literally whispering in their heads or something, so can't wait to read that one and scare myself shitless. I would definitely read it. Alex North is a great writer. The next book, here we go. In my top 10 of 2020 for sure. 5 stars, The Woman in the Window by AJ Finn. This lived up to all the hype. I'm gonna insert a clip of my reactions right here. I'm screaming! What the fuck? Oh no, I did not expect that. I did not see that coming.
What?
Sugar than a booger? Oh my!
Just happened.
I'm crying. I can't read this book anymore. I have 20 pages left. I can't do it. I have too much.
Are you okay?
Whoa! Plot twist of the fucking century. Whoa! Whoa! Oh my god, everyone in this book is fucked up. Every single one of them. Holy shit. Holy shit! And they involved the fucking cat! Are you joking? I'm shook. I can't believe I guessed the plot twist for The Silent Patient, but this I did not see coming whatsoever freaking ever. Remember when I said, I think I know, I have an inkling of what's going on? No! I absolutely did not! I was screaming. I was screaming. This was so fucking good. I did not see the plot twist coming. I'm usually really good at that, like, you know, The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides or whatever. I guessed that plot twist and everyone was like, you'll never see it coming. I did. This one though, for some reason I just had no idea, and I loved. My favorite part about this book, well, first of all, the short chapters. chapters and the writing, but also the mental health representation. Main character is Anna Fox. She has agoraphobia, but also while she's staying in her house at all times and spying on her neighbors, she's an online therapist. So she talks about all her clients' psychological issues, mental illnesses. There was so much going on. There were so many twists. I will reread this so many times. I loved it so much. It was just so good. She sees something that happens with her neighbors, and then she's always drunk and on all these medications for her like anxiety and agoraphobia and everything. So all her neighbors and the doctor like think she's crazy. They think she's just like fabricating evidence herself. You find out if she is or isn't. You don't know who to root for half the time, because then you're like, oh my god, is she an unreliable narrator? But also this doesn't make sense, but also she's always drunk, so what is going on? And I loved it. I loved it so much. Read this book, read this book. I can't wait to see the movie. I can't wait to read this again. I loved this book. I can't stress that enough. So glad I read it. Next book I read was an audiobook. It was super quick. Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. I gave that one 4 stars. This is the book that a lot of people have been talking about recently as well, because it takes place within 60 seconds, and it's about this guy whose brother got murdered, and he steps into this elevator. He's on his way to seek revenge towards his brother's killer. Throughout this time while he's on this elevator, people from his past start talking to him. He just like contemplates on whether this is the right thing to do, because he was raised this way, to like seek revenge every time one of his family members are affected by anything. It's really good. It's written in verse, but I listened to it in audio, and it was narrated by Jason Reynolds himself, and we love that. I love when authors are the narrators of their audiobooks. It makes it just so much more enjoyable. And then the last book I read in August was Franny and Zoe by J.D. Salinger. I love The Catcher in the Rye. It's my favorite classic, one of my favorite books of all time. Franny and Zoe, I didn't know what I expected. I thought Franny and Zoe were 2 girls. Zoe's a boy. I thought it was going to be broken up between like both their perspectives, and I thought it was going to be this like story about them growing up and stuff. Absolutely not. Zoe's like a 25-year-old man, and Franny's like, I don't know, 20 I think? Younger. I thought they were like in their teens, but no. And Franny's part is literally this much of the book, and Zoe's part is the rest. I thought it was going to alternate between them. I mean, I still enjoyed it because it's J.D. Salinger. His characters are still as cynical as The Catcher in the Rye. His honesty about the world and life in general is still as honest. I just love how his like bluntness and his just cynical is such a good word for his writing. His cynical perspective on life and how he like projects them through his characters is just so brilliant. I gave it 3 stars. I wasn't too into it. Some parts I was like invested in, but like Zoe's mom is just so freaking annoying. There was this whole part where she just like invaded his privacy and like stepped into the bathroom while he was in the bathtub, and she just like ranted and ranted and ranted about things he wanted her to shut the fuck up about, and that part was annoying, but it was memorable. Clearly it made it memorable. I'd read anything J.D. Salinger writes. I've almost read everything. I have a book all about his life. I've done some research on him many times. We love him. He has done some problematic stuff. We know. Okay, I'm sorry. I still stan him though. That was it. Those are all the books I read in August. I'm sorry it's so late. I'm gonna try to be better for next month. I'm gonna get it up by the 15th or on the 15th. That was my goal ever since I started these things, but sometimes, you know, life happens, okay? So yes, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all. Stay tuned for my next few videos because I'll have more non-bookish videos. Like I'm gonna do a friends outfits video, like friends inspired outfits, an apartment tours coming soon for my moving vlog series, just stuff like that. I hope you guys had a great day. Stay safe and stay positive always. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys later. Bye!